And we're live. What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny here today, and we're gonna be talking. It's gonna be a laid-back stream today. I don't feel like talking about anything too serious today. I found an interesting video, the culture war, which is fresh and fit versus this seemed like a traditional conservative. I don't know what to expect from this video. I think I kind of watched a couple minutes of it. I thought it would be interesting, so I wanted to bring this to my audience's attention. Disclaimer, not disclaimer, but a little announcement. Next week there will be no live stream as I will be out of town, and I don't want to risk not doing a live stream in my usual setup. So there will be no live stream next Friday, and I'll probably send out a reminder just to remind everyone who been watching diligently. So let's just get right into it. So one of the reasons why I decided to do the dating reaction stuff is because liberals are less happy than conservatives, according to YouGov anyway, right? And this is a big problem with what I notice in our the culture of modern dating is that it seems like now in 2023, modern dating has become almost a battle for power, right? Dating has become an extension over essentially the gender war, right? So one side of the women are trying to get something without giving anything back in return, and men are trying to get something without giving anything in return. And you see how it's decaying to a point where nobody wants to date anymore. Hookup culture, women finally realize the hookup culture is bad for them. Who would have thought, right? Especially liberals, right? And the reason why I want to make this economy between liberals and conservatives is that based on some of the things you'll hear in the culture war with fresh and fit versus the conservative male in the interaction, you're going to hear a lot of things about them saying women. And when we're talking about women, I would like to preface this from a political lens is who's more likely to do some of the things that fresh and fit are alluding to in this interview, right? Liberal women are more likely to be considered a modern woman, right? Hello, Jonathan Fields. Welcome. Liberal women will be considered more likely to do some of these modern thinkings like, oh, I don't need a man. They're more likely to say, I want a 50-50 relationship. When if you look at stats, traditional marriage has a higher propensities for success than modern marriages, right? So who's more likely to participate in a modern marriage? Liberals, right? So according to this YouGov, I don't want to go into too much of a monologue. I kind of want to get into the video. Don't forget to like the video as you come in. Liberals, especially liberal women, are significantly less likely to be happy with their lives and satisfied with their mental health compared to conservative peers aged 18 to 55. The biggest takeaway from the 2022 American YouGov survey strikes new polls from YouGov. That they found that liberals are 15% less likely to be completely satisfied with their lives, right? Jonathan Fields asks, this is a perfect way to sidetrack. So if you want to hear anything, you can put it in the chat. So Jonathan Fields asks me, Kenny, did you ever go through a liberal phase? No, not really. I think I was a centrist, more likely, right? Because what was it? I was never registered as a Democrat. I was always, even today, I've always been registered as an independent voter. So I never really had a liberal phrase per se. I had a centrist phrase where like I was that guy where I was like, oh, I see your point. Oh, I see both sides. I was that guy. So I never really took a strong position, right, in these things. And I think this is why I can speak to like kind of the both sides. But no, I never really had a liberal phase. But I mean, the most liberal I have ever been in my life was when I was in college. So I you can say I guess that counts as a liberal phase technically. But I saw myself more as a centrist than a liberal because I never had a particular leaning towards liberalism in any sense of the word. Because grew up in church, went to a Christian private school. My family was Christian, so I never really had an opportunity to be a liberal until like I went to college. I think that was when I was at my most liberal. But even then, I still would have been considered conservative because I didn't vote 2016, right? When Donald Trump was running, I didn't vote for 2016, but I didn't hate him. When people were saying, oh my gosh, Trump is going to send us all, deport us, I was more rational about it. I was like, hey, look, he's saying something that's appealing to these group of people. Politicians keep lying out of their mouth. And this is why people are voting for Donald Trump. And people were like, oh, I never saw it that way. I said, oh, well, and that's where I knew I was more of a centrist because I saw things I didn't get too emotionally wrapped up into things. Now, Even then, I still feel like I'm somewhat of a centrist. That's why I think I still consider myself independent, but I have like very strong conservative ties. So I hope that answered your question. I know it was long winded, but let's not digress too much. I'm trying to get here in 10 minutes. So liberals has a less happy they're less happy. Liberals are less happy with life. Figure one, right? And I don't want to go through too much because this is about dating, the dating culture, right? Liberals are less satisfied with their mental health. Now, here's a big thing I wanted to point out in modern dating today is that a lot of people, especially liberals, if you look at the stats, they say liberals are more likely to have mental health issues. Mental health plays a big part in dating and how people experience the like each other in a way, because two family factors have a lot to do with this ideological gap: marital status and family satisfaction. Given that conservatives age 18 to 55 are 20% points higher, more likely to be married, as well as 18% percentage points more likely to be satisfied with their families, right? The lesson here is obvious. Marriage and families are strongly linked to happiness and personal mental health in particular, right? And this is like a lot of this thing that's going on with the single woman narrative that's going on, this liberal argument that women find their purpose and fulfillment through a career and achievement the same way a man finds purpose and satisfaction in career and achievement. It's coming from this idea, this liberal idea, mind you, that men or women are not that different. I think men or women are completely different, right? We view things differently. We have different expectations. We react to things differently. I think what's hurting women's happiness, because if you look from the chart, liberal women are the least happiest. Least satisfied with their mental health. And I think it's a lot of this idea, and I believe women are manipulated into this position because feminism was supposed to be about choice, but feminism has become its own dogma, right? Women get mad at conservative men like me or traditional men like me who said, oh, women will be home happy with a family, a husband, and some kids. Matt Walsh just recently went viral for this. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of get my thoughts on the dating scene. Matt Walsh said, hey, this miserable woman, she was doing this 29 and Signal Light. I forgot the TikTok he was reacting to. But he pretty much called and said, hey, like this lady is dumb. She don't even know why she's depressed. This is why. She's here, have no responsibility, no meaning in life. All she does is wake up, watch TV, rail in the fact that she has no responsibility, right? And I'll consider that lady 15%, like she'll be part of the liberal women camp, right? So the obvious thing here is, so pretty much human beings are social creatures. And the fact that a lot of these social trends, these TikTok trends are pushing women to put themselves in a position where they'll be less happy and less satisfied in life, I think it's a bad thing. But hey, people can make up their own minds about this. Liberals are less happy with family life. And I think this is going to be the main point. And I want you guys to have this information in the backdrop as I react through this conversation between Fresh and Fit and this conservative. On the family front, conservative Americans, not politicians, have a major advantage in large part because they're more likely to embrace family first values and virtues that steer them towards wedlock and fulfilling family life. This appears to be essentially true here for conservative women who report the highest level of satisfaction in their lives, 61% for conservative women. So all this culture, this narrative about, all the single ladies, you got to be a strong, proud woman. No, you should chase a career, not a family. What comes first? What has a higher time pressure? Finding a husband or finding a career, right? I'm talking from personal experience, but my wife graduated from college. She's not working right now. She's a stay-at-home mom, right? I'm grateful to be in a position where she could be. She has that option. She has that choice. And she's trying to figure out, what I'm going to do for a career, right? She already got her husband, me. She already got her 2 kids, right? Has a house. We're living together. All at the ripe old age of 27 years old. And now she's like, okay, let me figure out what I want to do for my career. I think that's a lot more probable than you going the opposite route. Oh, I'm gonna find a career. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be a doctor of this or whatever. Then I'm gonna go find a husband. When in my view, there's a time pressure for that. All right. Women by the age of 35, I believe, lose 90% of their eggs to give birth. I mean, but if kids is not a thing in your family, sure, you can go about doing that. But I want people to know all the risk up front. I think what our modern dating culture needs right now is people to explain to everyone involved, both male and men and women, that they must make an informed decision when they decide to do the things they decide to participate in. If you're participating in hookup culture, know you're opening yourself up for trauma, for disappointment, for some psychological damage, right? And this is one of the reasons why men care about body count. Because I remember Tim Pool, after he did this video with Fresh and Fit, some woman got mad on Twitter and she started calling Tim a little, he has little D energy, right? Body shaming him essentially. But then if you were to dare do any body shaming to this lady, she will be crying misogyny, right? And this is one of my problems when we talk about dating is that it seems like when people want to give their perspective, hey, this is how dating should be, people want to push back. Oh, you want us to go back in the kitchen? Well, trad wife has been trending on TikTok, is becoming a trend on TikTok, right? Being having a traditional relationship is now seen as counterculture in 2023. And I kind of wanted to speak on that. Like when people see us, oh, you stay at home. Oh, you guys are very traditional. Yeah. People find that strange, right? Because, the average expectation is two parents will have to work. And the way inflation going right now, even I'm feeling it. As much as I'm in a stable financial position, I'm feeling the inflation rates too. And I'm going, this can't stand any longer. But enough of my long-winded introduction. But I hope I've set up enough context and expectation where I'm coming from, right? And some people are agreeing with me in the chat. I appreciate it, right? Jonathan Field says men and women are different by the age of 33, 35. I believe it's women lose about 50+% of her eggs. It will be considered a high-risk pregnancy. And if they decided to start a family, yes. And if a man said, hey, I don't want to date a woman over the age of 35, women will get mad about that. But no man gets mad about women when women say, hey, I want a guy to have his career together. I want him to engineer, doctor, whatever. I want him to be ambitious, high income. I want him to make more money than me. There was another thing I wanted to bring up here, but I didn't want to make it a long-winded intro. Women also have to consider a man marriage material. A man must make 50% more money than her. And they did research on this, and you guys can probably find this out on your own. But when they did the check, the average income, and they check it against the average man, a lot of single men did not meet that income requirement. A lot of married men did, right? Married men, like if you look between the genders, and this is why men and women are different. When men have kids, they tend to make more money. When men are married, they tend to make more money because obviously they have more people they have to take care of, and they have to bring in a more income so that way they can comfortably take care of other people. Because men can live off of like $40K a year and be comfortable. On the other hand, single women make more money than married women. And a lot of the things, the big factor there is children. When a woman has children, she wants to spend more time with her kids. Therefore, the career takes a back burner from her kids, which is fine. That's what I care about. Because to me, my argument as a man, as a traditional guy, right? I'm more of a modern conservative because at the end of the day, I'm 27 years old. So a lot of the things that Fresh and Fit will be talking about, I seen it in my college life when I was growing up in college. Men see work as a means to an end, while women seem to derive purpose from work. When that's not how it goes. Like there's no company loyalty. Like end of the day to a company, you're a resource to be used to generate profit. That don't sound like something you should be giving loyalty to. But when I go in my career, my corporate job, and I see a lot of women who don't have, I don't know, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to assume they don't have any kids. But a lot of women they care about the socializing. Oh, let's go into the company picnic and all that stuff. And the men are like begrudgingly going because men like, I'm here to work. I'm not here to socialize, have fun. If it was up to men, nobody will talk to each other. The only reason we'll talk to people is just for, hey, I need this done. I need this done. I need this. I need this email. I need you to check with this VP. Men will only keep it strictly business, right? And I think a lot of this loyalty that women have for companies is kind of wasted because at the end of the day, if tough times come, that company won't even think twice about cutting you out, like laying you off. right? Corporations like to put up this, oh, we care about our culture, our culture. They only doing that because of the women. The women care about the culture. Men technically care about the pay. The pay, what I'm going to do, my position, that's it. That's what men really care about. But women care about all that, oh, work-life balance, company culture, right? Oh, we're a family. We treat our employees like a family, but when tough times come, family doesn't lay off family. Family doesn't cut off income from other family, right? At least that's how I think. To me, it's at-will employment. Like, to me, a job is temporary. It's not permanent, but your family is for life. You tied to them forever. But enough with my long-winded explanation. Let's get into the video. We're going to react to the culture war. I'm only going to watch about 30 minutes. I'm trying to keep this live stream under an hour, but let's see how that goes. Let's get into the video.
Fresh and Fit, one of the most controversial podcasts on the internet. We talk about a bunch of things, whether it's making money, how to date properly in a modern day world, getting in shape, getting your fitness on point, and just becoming a better man in general. The #1 male self-improvement podcast in the world.
Let's go. Well, who are you guys individually?
Oh, Myron Gaines, former special agent of Homeland Security Investigations. I did that for approximately 10 years. Then transitioned over to the content creation side, had a fitness business. And then I realized, wow, guys need help with getting girls as well. So we kind of, encompassed all of that and help guys become better so that they can become more attractive and just live the life that they want.
Right on.
And I'm Fresh, Freshman CEO, island boy from a small island. Came here with big dreams. Started a podcast with Myron. Talk about dating, lifestyle, success. Now we're here today on Timcast.
Right on. We got Jason Howerton hanging out. Grab that mic, buddy.
Yes, sir. Yeah, what's up? I'm Jason. I am the opposite of you guys. I'm boring. I'm a boring dad, business owner who really, my family is my life. I run a business, a digital agency where I do pretty well working with creators and influencers. And then I also have a High Value Dad, which is basically a network trying to help dads become better versions of themselves as dads, as leaders in their businesses, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, that's really my mission right now, even more so than the business, is really trying to help fathers discover kind of who they are and who they need to be the best leaders for their families, because people get off track in this modern society. So there is some overlap, but I would say our philosophies are a little different, but I'm excited about it.
Well, let's get right into it, man. We keep hearing about men being in crisis. Young men, this is an interesting point. There was this data that came out a few years ago that shows men under 30 are increasingly staying virgins.
Sorry about that, guys. Something's going on with my stream. Hopefully it's not too bad now, but that was weird. Okay. Anyway, I want to kind of give my thoughts about the opening statement with the dad thing. I noticed that it seems like men are noticing what's going on with our current dating culture. And I know there's women out there that's they have their podcasts or doing their own thing, talking about some of the ills of dating culture, but it seems more like they complain about the effects and not really trying to create a solution to really address the problem, right? Some people go about maybe, hey, let's call out the culture, right? I'm sorry, a lot of conservative women have that problem too. They don't seem want to recognize that the part that women kind of play into this dating culture, right? Because I will be the first one to admit that both sides are kind of contributing to the decay of our culture. But the problem is, it's like, what happened first? It's like the chicken or the egg, right? Who really started this dating culture? And Fresh and Fit, and I watched a couple of their videos before I decided to react to this one. Fresh and Fit holds the position that women kind of got into, I will say, they got pushed into this lifestyle by feminism, because feminism kind of flipped the narrative and said, oh, go around, sleep with a bunch of men, have fun, right? Have indiscriminate sex just like the men, because the men can do it, so we should be able to do it too. But the consequences aren't the same between when men and women have sex, right? Women are the most vulnerable sex. That's true. That's facts. That's evidence. That's biology. That's biology. Like women are more at risk with sex than men are. So there's more of a penalty on women to have sex than a man have sex with a woman, right? Women get pregnant in that interaction. If women want to abort the child, that's personal harm and risk to them. And the traumatic event of losing your child or having to end your child's life because you felt like you were pressured into it. Because at the end of the day, here's the inconvenient truth about abortion. it benefits men more than it benefits women, because men take no risk. Like, nothing happens to a man, right? All you do is absolve a man of responsibility for a child that he helped create. And women champion this as if it's a good thing, right? A lot of these, like, now that I think about it, like, women, like a lot of these feminists like to claim that a lot of the traditional values and norms benefited men. But the more I think about it, it benefited women a lot too, right? But that's just me. I don't want to make it about me. I think the stream chilled out right now, but I'm gonna continue playing and seeing if I still experience the same choppiness. But hopefully we don't. Let's get back into the video.
They're not having sex. Now, the funny thing about that is, I was talking to Seamus Coughlin, and when I brought this up, he's Christian, conservative, very Catholic. He goes, based. And I was like, based? And he's like, because on the surface, it's like, oh, young men not having sex is a good thing. And I'm like, no. The Christian conservative perspective should be it's a bad thing. The liberal perspective should be it's a bad thing. And the conservative view should be these men should be married and they should not be virgin. They should be married with a wife and having children. And they're 29 years old and they've never had a real relationship. So just in general, outside of that, we see all this stuff, toxic masculinity. We hear stories about men in crisis. Suicide rates are going way, way up. Whoever wants to kick it off, what's going on and why is there an issue with men right now?
You want to kick it off first?
I mean, for the most part, guys nowadays want to have a lifestyle where they have women, of course.
Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, I don't know what happened. Like, my stream has been acting wonky. Give me a sec. Did it? Yeah, I was able to watch that whole thing or no? I just want to make sure with the chat before I continue, because that was weird for me. On these, it was bugging out. I agree with the abortion statement. It benefits men. Yes, it was. Okay. Yeah, because on my side, I saw it just buffering, and I thought you guys didn't see it. So I'm gonna continue with the video. Yeah, let's get back into the video.
Of course, the cars, the job, the career. But for the most part, guys nowadays are struggling because girls, once again, want a dominant, successful guy that has their shit together. But men, I guess, for the most part, are kind of like subduing to, I want to say, the TV stations that they watch, what they hear on the radio waves, what they see in, like, movies. And it's more like men are not becoming men like they should be. And you could blame it on technology, social media, whatever you want to blame it on. Men are not becoming men. And women are becoming more masculine. And I feel like, for the most part, you look at women today, they're in school, getting careers, getting high-paying jobs, and they want a man that's more dominant than them. And men today are.
So this is what I was bringing up earlier before, how women consider men marriage material if they make 50% more money than they do, right? So if you're let's say your wife made $100,000. I'm sorry. Let's say your future wife makes $100,000 a year. To be marriage material for her, you have to be making $150,000 a year. You see where the discrepancy is coming from? And also, I want to blame kind of the culture too. And this is why I said, like, these red pill guys, they're almost a reaction from feminism, because I remember I watched a lady, I forget her name. She wrote a book called War on Boys or War on Men. I forget what the title of the book. And she warned how women change the expectations, what it means to be a woman. And they say because women change the definition of what it means to be a woman, now it's on the men to decide how they would react to this change. And this is the reaction, I think. Red pill is a reaction to what feminists brung up. And women should have seen this coming. If you want to change the terms and conditions of the social contract, right? The social contract is the expectations that we push women to have in our society, then expect the change to also be coming from the men as well. And this is what's going on. A lot of men are becoming distant, more withdrawn from social life in a way. Like, a lot of men are craving for a challenge in a way. This is why Jordan Peterson is popular. This is why Andrew Tate is popular, because they're challenging men to be better. Jordan Peterson, this is the things I like to kind of categorize them. Jordan Peterson is like your wise father who's giving you a very measured, balanced perspective on life. And Andrew Tate is your big brother that is, he challenged you very aggressively and very directly. He's like the drill sergeant, like, yo, wake your butt up. Like, let's go, right? He's the one who's going to push you because you need that. Like, men need that. Men need the wisdom, and then men need that direct challenge, right? Because nowadays in our current society today, it seems like everything in wokeism and all this stuff is trying to tell boys not to be masculine anymore. And I think this is why you see a lot of men, a lot of young boys gravitate to Andrew Tate because they see finally somebody that's speaking my language, right? You see Dylan Mulvaney, he gets famous for acting like a woman, right? And my argument is whatever whatever society pushes up, you're essentially creating an incentive structure where the young people will strive to be that thing. And whatever you demonize, you're telling society, hey, we don't want you to be this thing. And that's what's going on right now in our current culture. That's why you see it in movies. They display the women as strong and competent and men as weak and incompetent. But in real life, because I live in real life. This is why I don't watch movies. I live in real life. When ish hit the fan, women are the first one to fold, run, hide. But in the movies, they don't portray that. They portray, oh, she's strong, stoic. She knows exactly what to do. But in real life, women don't know, for the most part, most women, they'll run, hide, don't know what to do in those situations. But you expect, like, it's almost a form of brainwashing. And I think, regardless of how people feel about it, this is kind of the struggle and why a lot of men are not going to college. Because I'm a college dropout. And one of the reasons I dropped out of college is because I felt like they saw me as a threat or something. I don't know. It just didn't feel like a space where they wanted me to be at. So I don't know. It seems like our society is doing everything it can to like almost castrate men, right? They want to make men docile, right? But if like they said, there's a revolution. Strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. That's a historical pattern that by our nature we will always follow. And you see it. Liberal men are more agreeable than conservative men. Right? If you had to ask who's more masculine, conservative men or liberal men, most people will say yes, conservative men, because conservative men still hold themselves to traditional gender roles, right? Be strong, be stoic, be in control of your emotions, right? So conservative men still follow those traditions. But if you get liberals, like I think Destiny, for instance, he'll say, no, men don't need to be that way, right? He will demonize or minimize or make fun of traditional masculine traits like, oh, being strong. Oh, you don't need physical fitness anymore. It's all about intelligence, right? But there's still a need for that because no matter how smart you are, if you cannot defend your ideas physically, it don't matter how correct you are, right? Because the only way you can stop bad men is with good men. But hey, I digress. I don't want to ramble too much, but let's get back into the video.
Are not that. So
What do you think, Jason?
I have a question. What can you just for the context of this conversation? Can you define what you like? What is a man? Like, what is the ideal man? What does that look like?
Adult human male, but now that we understand the basic.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a man in the philosophical sense? I guess.
Correct.
Yeah. I think most people can define it a different way, but I would say what a man is to me is a man that has family as a main priority. Has as well a good stance on, for example, having a foundation of success, which means monetary gain. And then I would say as well, has the integrity and leadership skills that most people want to have.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah. And so, so this is what I would say is that for men today, they're getting a lot of conflicting messages on what they should be doing, right? You have one faction that is telling them that their masculinity is toxic, that it's sexist to open doors for a woman, and
this is what I'm talking about, the cultural disincentivization of men being traditionally masculine, right? And pretty much is this like, and it's in liberalism's nature. Liberals don't like status quo. They hate status quo, right? While conservatives tend to trust status quo, right? And my idea is that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, don't try to mess with it. But but it's in liberals' nature. Liberals can't help but mess with it. Do we really need men to open doors for us, right? And now you see a lot of these progressive women. I think I did a video on one. A progressive woman was complaining about how she wanted a progressive man, But she noticed a lot of progressive men want equality, and she wants tradition. Like pretty much, she wants the traditionalism that benefits her, but she wants the modern aspects of our dating culture where it benefits her the most. Oh, I want to be able to do what I want. I should be able to wear risque clothing. I should be able to still work, clean. He should clean. We should split the chores. But I don't like the fact that we have to split the bill. Right? If you want to be progressive all the way. Right? But women have this tendency to want to pick and choose what they want to apply and what not. Right? It's this idea that they want their cake and eat it too. And I think that's a very immature idea to have, because at the end of the day, life is about trade-offs. You make your trade-off. You want the traditional conservative man, he's going to have certain expectations. And if you can't give him that traditional conservative marriage, then don't date a traditional dude. Date a modern dude who's going to split 50-50 with you. And I think one of the biggest problems is men have to force women to pick. That's what I'm thinking. Because women still walking around here acting like they can have the traditional conservative guy when they're like 35 years old. And my argument here is, don't date no 35-year-old woman. That's just me. My personal thing was, I wouldn't date a single mother. I wouldn't date a feminist. What else? It was a feminist, not a single mom. Right? And attitude stuff, but I don't want to get too personal, right? Main reason I don't want to date a feminist is because I don't want to date somebody or marry somebody that views me as an enemy just because of my gender. Just because of how I was born, you view me as an inherent enemy. That's automatically, that's friction in the relationship. This is why feminists don't tend to have good dating lives, right? They participate in hookup culture and they try to mask their pain by projecting, oh, I'm happy, I'm good, I'm traveling all over the world, I have no responsibility, because they're trying to show the world they're happy, but inside they're not. And you can see it through the stats. Look, they're less satisfied with their mental health, less satisfied with their family life. They deal with loneliness worse. Like, this is why they get a lot of pets. A lot of the pets, and I've been seeing this lately, they put pets in strollers like they're babies. Women are literally transferring their motherly instinct from human babies to dogs, to cats, to pets. And that's how they're channeling that's how they're I guess coping with their loneliness in most cases. Right? It's like a Peter Pan syndrome that's going on in our culture today. Millennials don't want to grow up, it seems like. Right? Adulting is hard. They want to make names out of everything now. Quiet quitting and all, like, yo, why? Well, I digress.
All these things equally as bad. And then there's kind of another faction that is telling them a couple of different conflicting messages. One is to abstain from doing some of the things that are traditionally are masculine, like being aggressive in your career, growing as a professional.
I know I couldn't this video off. It's mostly because of this idea of feminism put into young men, is that, and to me, this is a condescending idea from feminism point of view, is that the only way a woman can compete in the workforce if men don't compete at all. Right? Oh, you shouldn't be trying to aim to be CEOs. Men been CEOs throughout all history. It's woman's turn now. Essentially, you telling a person just because of his gender that he shouldn't strive for success and achievement. Right? And to me, as a man, like, men don't want to win that way. Men want to win by beating the best, right? Not sabotaging the best and be like, oh, the best wasn't allowed to compete. It's going to be a false victory. How you know you actually earned the job if you actually had to compete for the job? It should be the best person for the job, not the best woman for the job. Oh, we only going to hire women for our CEOs. Our next CEO is going to be a woman, right? Bud Light, first female marketing VP. And what she do? Tank the company like by 23%. Make the company lose billions of dollars to the point where Bill Gates had to come in and invest money into Bud Light. A woman did that. That's what happened when you hire someone just based on their genitals instead of based on their competency. You wanted to make history. You wanted to flex your virtue. And that's what it seemed like a lot of women want to do. They want to show. They just want to look good, but not actually be good. They don't want to actually be good at their job. They want to look like they're good at their job. Oh, I'm a female CEO. I hope you earn it. I hope you earn it through your abilities and not just because the company can brand off you and say, look at us. Our CEO's a female. right? And I think it's this idea of feminism where they're saying, hey, man, don't be ambitious. That's bad. And that's what I'm saying. Show me the incentive. I'll show you the outcome. If you keep putting out this incentive that men being ambitious is bad, is evil, but a woman displaying the same level of ambition and drive, you reward that as good. You praise it. Positive reinforcement is a psychology term. Positive reinforcement. Every time someone do something you like, you give them a positive. Oh, you give positive reassurance. Oh, you go, girl. Oh, yeah, that's right. You go, queen, slay queen. All this hype up stuff. You reward them to do more. But as I showed you in the beginning of the video, you're leading women down the path of unhappiness and unfulfillment. The least happiest person in the world is a woman, single, childless, and with a career. Right? That's usually the archetype. That's the large percentages of the most unhappiest woman in the world. But that's what feminism is rewarding you to go down. They're literally leading women down the path towards unhappiness, and they're championing it as a good thing. How about that? But I digress.
And then there's another faction that says, I'm just going to be blunt about it, like for lack of a better way to phrase it, like get money and bang bitches. Basically, is like that's kind of like the what I see across the internet of this masculinity.
I mean, that's a good start, though.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Get money is a good start if you're trying to build a foundation for yourself as a man. Absolutely. I would argue with the bang bitches part. Okay. I'm not here to be the Puritan at all. I'm not like the morality police saying sex is bad or like don't have sex with women. Not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when you become a man, when you're out of college and you need to start charting your path to become a functioning man in society. And ideally you want to be a high value man, right? You want to become something of substance. Your goal should be to meet and engage with women in a healthy way. And if that results in, mutual sexual behavior, great, do your thing. But in my opinion, in your head, you should know that what you're working towards is to build a family, because I don't think you even become a man in the real sense until you have a family. It changes you in ways that I can't really even describe.
Okay, so I could kind of speak to this as I'm married and I'm in a similar position, I guess. It does change you because you have more responsibility. You stop thinking just about yourself, right? But one of the things I think Fresh and Fit is going to push back against this is that in our modern culture, our modern dating culture today, there's a big emphasis on screening, testing, and discernment. Like vetting your partner, vetting the person you date. Make sure you guys are actually compatible, because a lot of time gets wasted. Like there's two ways you date. A lot of people in our modern dating culture is pushed to date for fun, date for experiences, date for excitement. All right. Everyone likes cheeseburger. Everyone likes the taste of cheeseburger. But if you keep eating that cheeseburger, you're going to catch a heart attack one day, right? Because it's bad for your health long term. That's how I view dating. Dating for a purpose, dating for marriage is like broccoli. Dating for fun is like French fries and that salty donut, whatever you want to have. I'm thinking about Miami salty donut, but people crave that stuff. They love that stuff, but long term is not good for you, right? And one of the things that I think a lot of the stuff that Myron and Fresh talk about, sleep with 50 plus women and all this stuff. To me, I don't think that's conducive of a long term relationship either, because I know men that have that body count, right? And they get into this habit. It's habit forming, right? Because what you repeatedly do, you repeatedly become, right? If I read every day, I'll become a reader. If you have sex with multiple people repeatedly, you're just gonna be kind of craving, I want to say you're gonna be addicted to sex, but you're gonna get so used to, I can have someone better. I can have someone that's less annoying, right? You're going to start looking for perfection in a way. That's how I take it. Because end of the day, I believe discipline is the road to freedom. And you need that. You need that discipline. Because end of the day, like you opening yourself up to more of a risk, in my view, anyway, right? And I don't have to agree with everything that Fresh and Fit and all these people say. I know they like end of the day, I can't deny that there's a problem in our culture, right? I'm just saying that hey, there's different solutions to skin a cat. And as a political guy, I'm focused more on how can I make my ideal society come about in reality. That's where I think Fresh and Fit kind of like they missed the point. Like, hey, if we want to preserve America, because end of the day, all the best countries are what? They're monogamous. They have a monogamous cultural norm. And we're trying to preserve that. Okay, how can we make this more appealing? A lot of them were mentioned, need to change the laws. Okay, Ron DeSantis here in Florida just ended forever alimony. Lifetime alimony, yes. Ron DeSantis cut that out. Okay. And in my view, I think Fresh and Fit can be more of a driving force for the change they want to see in this world if they actually advocate for some of the solutions that is affecting the culture, some of the solutions they complain about. But at the same time, it's like they're double dipping. They want to point out the problem, but they also indulging in it as well. Right. And there's a thing in Stoic. There's a story in Stoicism how they talk about the trials of Hercules. And there's two paths before Hercules, the path of virtue and the path of vice. And it seems like, Miami Vice, I'm from Miami. I know how it is down there. They seem to, hey, like their solution is based on vice. Satisfy your needs, right? Because end of the day, if you're not religious or you don't have principles or you don't believe in a sense of a greater purpose, right? Like me, I look out for the best interest of America. So I look out for a community. Hey, can our community sustain itself with only 20% of the men getting 80% of the women? What's going to happen to the 80% of men that's not getting the women? That's going to lead to a revolt, right? You don't think that's going to lead to a violent revolt where you're going to destroy the fragment of our society? Because as a conservative, that's where I weigh in different things, right? I weigh in, hey, how is this going to affect my country? How is this going to affect my world, my society, right? And that's the perspective I'm talking from, right? But if Fresh and Fit, they're only talking from a male perspective, so they're going to do things that's going to put men in that will make men have the leverage. Men will have the leverage if they sleep with 50 women. Men will have the leverage if you can't get alimony, child support from them by getting a vasectomy at an early age, right? Men will have the leverage if they have money, fame, and options, right? Like Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio is pretty much the perfect archetype for what the red pill want men to strive for. At 25 years old, he kicked the girl out and said, hey, go find you a nice husband and go. I'm going on to a younger model. I'm going on to the next model, right? And conservatives hate to hear this, but this is the reality of our modern culture today. And just like I say with the Andrew Tate point, if you don't like what Andrew Tate is spewing, show me someone who I should be listening to. Show me someone the kids should be listening to and prop him up. But no, like end of the day, you can't complain about somebody. All you have to do is you have to offer a better solution. And that's my argument. But I digress. Let's get back into the video.
It turns you into a different version of yourself to where your entire life you're focused internally on what you want and chasing pleasure and chasing various things. When you have a family, it completely flips that inside out and you become a selfless protector, provider of your clan.
I agree with that point of your clan, but my argument is always it's a two-way street. Like, you got to put in as much, like you got to put the skin in the game as much as I am, right? And also the other person also has to value that as well. If someone doesn't value that, then you have to go into self-preservation mode, right? Conservative mode. Hey, I got to protect myself. Hey, ain't working out, right? Steven Crowder is a big example as well. He's getting a divorce, right? He seemed very conservative. He seemed like he did everything the right way, but he still had a divorce, right? And this is some of the issues that a lot of older conservatives do not want to address or do not want to try to resolve something about it. Me, in a political way, I'll try, like, because at the end of the day, I know politics is about incentive. Okay, you believe men should get married. Okay, what incentive is there to make men get married? Oh, they pay less taxes. Okay, sure, but what about the risk about divorce? Okay, we took away lifetime alimony. Okay, that's a good start. How about we limit the community property? Women, like, we need to update some of the reforms that we want, right? Now, some conservatives will say, hey, Ronald Reagan passed no fault divorce, and that's what's causing the fragmentation of families, and it's leading to this culture where a lot of women say, I want my starter husband, which essentially alluding to the fact that women now marry with the expectation that this will not be their one and only marriage, right? We need like a lot. To me, this is a problem conservative women got to push back on. This idea of a starter husband and all this stuff, people don't like it, but that's what makes me a conservative. A conservative care about what? Their community. They want their community to be a certain way. And how can you advocate for a community to be a certain way if you don't voice it or speak out against it? That's why I get so irritated with liberals. This is why I was never a liberal. Because liberals seem to care about themselves. Why do you care? It don't affect you personally. That's why I'm a conservative. That's why people are progressives. Progressives and conservatives, they agree on one thing. We care about the community, our culture, our country. And we want to see the change in the world. Liberals only care about, as long as I get to do anything I want, I'm fine. That's the liberal position. That's liberalism. A very self-centered political ideology. But hey, I agree with the sentiment that if you cannot protect the smallest minority in the country, then your country can't stand, which is the individual. You can't protect individual rights. That's fine. But conservatives believe freedom with limits. Freedom with limits. You're free to do this, but you're not free to steal from someone else. You're free to buy anything you want. You're free to sell anything you want. But there's limits. There's like a game. There's rules, right? You just can't be able to do anything you want. But that's the liberal position. And I'm trying to get tired of that though. But hey, I digress, man. Let's get back into it.
And so dating should be in pursuit of that. I'm not saying it should happen instantly. Maybe it takes you 5 years of dating and maybe a lot of sex happens and it's great. Like sex is great. It's fun. It's cool. But this idea that you get it out of your system and you just have sex with a bunch of women as you're, figuring out what you want to be in your life, I think is more dangerous than people think. From a brain chemistry standpoint, what you're kind of training yourself to become long term, I don't think people think about those implications.
So, okay. So let me be very clear. I think the family is the cornerstone of every thriving society. The nuclear family is absolutely needed. We believe in a nuclear family. We don't tell people to not pursue a nuclear family. However, pursuing a nuclear family in today's day and age without prerequisite experience is extremely dangerous given what you're up against. So what we tell guys is, because you asked earlier, what is a man? I think obviously duty, purpose, leadership, strength, integrity, and the ability to provision, right?
I agree.
And when you have all these traits together,
Jonathan Fields, I think Myron's going to make your point, and I'll react to that point as well. I see what you're saying, but I'll give my thoughts right after this clip, this couple of minutes, because I want Myron to finish his thought.
you could be a good father. But what I want guys is to be in a position where they've experienced women, they understand women, and now they're coming to that choice on their own, right? And they're deciding to do that versus being forced into it, pressured into it, etc. Because the things that were in place before to make family an appealable pursuit for a majority of men are no longer there. I'll explain what I mean by this. Thanks to feminism, social media, the modern day world that we have now, where we live in what I call a Uber Eats type society where instant gratification is a thing.
I agree. Like our culture does not like reward delayed gratification, right? Waiting to have sex till marriage was a delayed gratification type of culture. We don't live in that culture anymore. So Jonathan Fields bringing up a point about do I believe men should have sexual experience before getting married? I do agree. I do agree men should have some sexual experience before getting married, but I'm trying to keep it more abstract, right? Because I believe you can know somebody without having to have sex with them, right? I have this position that, let's say you're a religious person, right? And I used to be when I was a lot younger, and I wanted to save myself from marriage. But caveat was I expected the very same from the other person as well. If they didn't have that same, like, let's say I was a virgin, if that person wasn't a virgin, they're not compatible. Or I'll see that as a value misalignment, because there's this idea, and I agree with this idea, is that if you want a successful marriage, the person you're marrying must share a similar worldview to you, right? So if you're a Christian man, your best chance of having a successful marriage is with a Christian woman. And the experiences have to be kind of similar, right? In a way, right? That's just my thoughts. Now, if you want short term, you just want sexual fun and experience, you can date anybody regardless if they agree with you or not, because that makes a more interesting relationship, right? Dating somebody that you're conservative and your girlfriend's a liberal, that's exciting, right? You disagreements and emotional roller coasters up and down, but that only works in the short term. If you imagine marrying that same woman, it's a different perspective. You're like, oh hell no, I'll never marry this girl, but you're sleeping with her, and I just see it as because at the end of the day, your time is a resource. Time is a resource. How you spend that time could have prevented you from seeing someone. Like, it's like you pick one path, you close another. That's how I kind of see dating in a way, right? But if you're not in that mindset, I agree. You should have some experience. You should be able to know how to deal with women, because at the end of the day, I personally, when I was in college, I'm not here to brag, but I have some sexual experience. But I always was able to like figure out like very manipulative women who don't really care about you, women who see you as a utility, right? Because it's common in the Black community. Like a lot of women are materialistic in that community, right? If you don't have anything that you can give them or do for them, they tend not to see you in a good light, right? And I'm used to being able to suss that out of women, right? So I think the one thing I could agree for in general, regardless if you're religious, not religious, you want to save yourself for marriage, you don't want to save yourself for marriage, I think the big point I'm trying to make here is that screening and discernment is a big, that's one thing I agree. You have to vet your girl. You have to vet your partner. That goes for men, that goes for women. You have to vet that person, and you have to know what your expectations are. And you must know, make it, because I don't believe, see, and this is one thing I have a problem with our culture, because a lot of women want to sit here and cry and act like, oh, we got duped into this lifestyle. No, you didn't. It served your purpose in the short term, right? You was having fun between 18 to 29 years old. Now you hit 30, now you're crying because you can't find a good man. Well, you wasted a lot of time having fun, and now when you're at your, I guess, least desirable, now you want a stable guy. Now you want a good guy. And if you are that stable good guy, don't marry no woman that's 30 years old. Don't marry no single mom, because you deserve better than that. Right? Put yourself in the best position. In my view, if you want people to be Christian again, what are the odds if all the successful rich men were Christian? That's how Jewish people are. A lot of Jewish people, they're rich and successful. So people were like, oh, I guess I got to be Jewish to get with a Jewish man, because they tend to, that's the template that I'm talking about, right? And that's the culture. I want our culture to kind of strive us together, because that's where we're at our most happiest. I already showed you the stats in the beginning of the video. If you're just coming in, if you watch this on the replay, in the beginning of the video, I went through stats of how liberal women are less happy than conservative women, especially when it came to family life. Conservative women were very happy, but look at the culture that is pushing women to do certain things. Is the culture pushing you to be doing something conservative women would be doing, or they're pushing you to be doing something that liberal women would be doing? Who's more likely to be a feminist, a liberal or conservative? Liberal. Who's more likely to have bad mental health, a liberal or conservative? Liberal. Why? Consequences of their choices. And then they like to mask or play like, oh, it doesn't hurt me. I'm fine. I'm happy. They're trying to prove that you're happy. They're trying to prove that to you and to everyone else that they're living a fantastic life. But in these stats and these polls, they're miserable. Well, so I digress. Let's get back into the video.
Women have changed, and women have changed significantly. Not only have they changed, they've changed to a point where it's no longer in their best interest to stay within the confinements of a marriage. Now, even though I believe in marriage, right? Contrary to popular belief, people think that we just tell guys to run around and have sex with women. No, we tell them have sex with women so that you're in a position to pick the best woman. Because unfortunately, most women don't come pre-assembled. Back in the 1950s, etc., we had religion, we had society shame, we had the fear of God, etc. All these things were training wheels that kept women in line to be.
I agree with the shame part, because nowadays we don't live in a culture that pushes shame. We live in a culture that pushes self-esteem. Oh, we need to boost everyone's self-esteem. You could do anything. You could be anything. Oh, don't worry, girl. Someone's going to accept you as you are, right? We live in a culture that pushes self-esteem. And I think self-esteem is the worst idea ever, right? Now, it's good to have self-confidence, but self-esteem is not based on anything. Self-esteem is like, oh, I'm good just how I am. Right? You're like, you never practice a day in your life, but I know you got great potential to be a good basketball player. How you know that? You never seen the kid play basketball. He has never even practiced. He has never even trained. But you want to put in this self-esteem in him? I think we need to, in our culture, we need to bring shame back to push self-control. Because I think that's what we're lacking in our culture today. Instant gratification, a big indicator of whether someone's going to be wealthy, responsible, is the ability to exercise self-gratification. If you can't sacrifice the now for tomorrow, you're not going to be successful in life. And I think that's what's been going on with dating. The girl wants the hot guy, right? But she don't want to like not take a chance with the hot guy with the strong, stable, principled dude, right? Women are the victims of their own choices. And this is why I don't believe in our current culture, women are victims. Women are volunteers. A lot of women volunteers for this lifestyle, and then when they hit the end of the road, they want to play victim, right? And I think that's what's going on today in our culture, in our society today. I think shame needs to come back. Shame was used as, hey, you're failing expectations. We don't have expectations for anybody anymore. Having expectations now is seen as oh my God, you're putting too much pressure on your kid. I grew up like that. My parents had high expectations for me. And I will have the same for my kid. Now, I'm gonna give my kid all the support, all the resources he needs to live up to that high expectation. And I think our society, we've been slacking too long. I think we're resting on the legacy of America. We're resting on our laurels. We're resting on the glory of the past, instead of maintaining a culture that will create a brighter, better future. And I think this is what's been going on to our decaying of culture. We just let anything go now. If you look at the street, people are casual. People wearing bonnets on their head. Yes, I don't like the bonnet thing in their head. People don't want to present themselves well anymore, right? If you look at videos from the 1960s, people came in dressed, hat, style. People used to try a lot harder, but not anymore, right? I kind of want to keep the stream under an hour, but I want to get the final thoughts in. I know I only went in like 11 minutes. Typical me, right, guys? But I digress. Let's get into the video.
Be good, dutiful mothers, daughters, sisters, etc. But these conventions are gone. What do we have now? We have a modern day society where we tell women to be promiscuous. We tell women to go get your bag, girl. We tell women to go on OnlyFans. We tell women to make money by any means necessary, regardless of if it destroys their image. So what I'm saying is that I need guys to adapt to the new normal. And that's why I tell guys, hey, you have to have certain things in place. And I think a guy shouldn't even think about getting serious with women unless he's had sex with at least 50 partners. Now that
I don't believe in arbitrary numbers. I think what decides someone marriage material is more on the character, not necessarily sexual experience, but I know it still plays a part. So I agree with everything he said except his prescription. I think his prescription is more arbitrary, right? It's just like me saying, oh, you shouldn't get married until you're 30. I know some very immature 30-year-olds and I know some very mature 22-year-olds. I think it should be demonstrated more on your ability, not your, like if he told me, hey, if he had said, hey, you shouldn't get married until you're in a financial position where you can take care of a family on one income, I'll be more likely to agree with that because it's based on ability, not on some arbitrary number that, don't really mean anything. Right? So, but hey, I kind of digress. Let's continue with the video.
Even though that sounds crazy, the reason why I say that is because women nowadays are more promiscuous than ever before. And if a guy isn't in a position to be able to identify women that are worthy of a serious relationship, well, he's going to get taken to the cleaners because most women have more experience with the opposite gender than men do. If I told you have a boxing match in 5 years and your opponent is going to be training every single day and knocking people out, would you train or would you just sit in the house lethargic? You'd probably train, correct? But what most guys effectively do is they sit in the house. They don't go out there and talk to more women. They don't understand female nature. They don't know how the world really works when it comes to dating and intersexual dynamics. They go into that boxing match with that person that's been training for a while, and they get beat up. Why did they get beat up? Because women get training. What I mean by this is experience with the opposite gender as soon as they hit puberty.
Yeah, because men and women hate, even 16. I hear girls complaining about how men are checking them out, men trying to get at them. They're like 32 years old and she's 16. They're trying to holler at her. So what he says makes sense. I understand that at a like very good level. And I think a lot of people need to understand human nature. And I think that's what it is. Like people do things for their own self-interest, right? So when you get these women that trying to date these dudes that have money or they look good, they're doing it off of their own self-interest. And I think what really makes a good relationship is when both parties are trying to, or their goal is to create a win-win situation where both sides get what they want out of the relationship and both sides maintain it, right? I have this saying I always tell myself, and I always joke around with my wife, that nothing's promised. Like I don't, like how you found me is how I'm staying. And I'll either I stay the same or I'm trying to get better, right? It's just like in a working, when you work at your job won't tolerate you being stagnant in your job. They want you to get better. They want you to gain more skills, more experience, and they pay you more or they promote you for that, right? And I see that, and I see marriage in the same way. It's always a work in progress, right? And to me, I was like, yo, like if you get comfortable, don't get mad if the other person gets comfortable too, right? And I think like if you have someone who has that same like view of a relationship, because to me, how a relationship is supposed to be viewed as is a team. Not as an individual. Oh, I'm getting the out of what I want out of it, and the minute I don't get what I want out of it, I'm gonna just leave. Nah, this is a team. This is the Lakers. I'm trying to win for the Lakers. I'm contributing my 25 points a game, right? And the whole pot we win as a team. I think that's how relationships should be viewed. But in our current dating culture today, it's just warfare at this point. But I digress.
Men are hitting at them all the time. Men are telling them how to. Men are trying to court them, etc. So women become very good at figuring out what the opposite gender wants, leveraging that to their advantage, and able to extract resources, time, attention, etc. And most guys don't have the skills to deal with that.
I'll clarify one point. You said in today's day and age, it is no longer in the best interest of women to get married. But I think
no, to keep the marriage going.
But it is just a semantic point, right? Because I think I understand what you're saying. It absolutely is in the best interest of men and women to have a marriage going, but society pressures women in other ways and offers
They're
them,
rewarded.
Yeah, there's certain rewards like OnlyFans, which I'll just come out and say, like, OnlyFans is prostitution. It's just the digital version of modern prostitution.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say that there's like porn on the internet.
Yeah.
So, someone does that. People have made the argument it's digital prostitution, but there's no actual engagement between the individual. OnlyFans, literally, the men will message the woman who provide a menu of items, and then they will then pay the woman specifically to engage in an act. Like that's prostitution.
And I just want to say real quick, like I gave a very overall and general sense of what's going on in the dating marketplace and intersexual dynamics between the two genders. I'm happy to go into each one more specifically, but what I meant in that regard was women are not incentivized to keep the marriage going. Once they reach a certain threshold, maybe 5 years, 10 years, depending on the state, well, it's cheaper for me to just I'm going to be in a better situation if I divorce him, get the money, leave, get the child support, get the alimony, whatever it may be. So women don't have the same incentives that they used to have to keep marriages going. That's why women initiate 80% of divorces in the West.
And I'm going to end it off right here. So I'm going to give my final thoughts based on that information that Myron just provided. I knew about the divorce stats like a long time ago, but that's the problem here. Show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. And I think a lot of conservatives need to, lobby, get politicians to we need to change our culture. How are we going to change our culture? The only way you can change your culture is by putting up incentive. Just like I could point out how the war on poverty incentivized the black woman to pick the government over having a husband. That same playbook is being done at a large scale, right? You could blame Ronald Reagan for that, for no fault divorce, right? Putting this idea that women can leave a marriage and get rewarded for it, right? Because usually, like I stated in the beginning of the video, women find a man marriage material who makes 50% more money than her. That means in majority of the marriages, 80% of the marriages, the woman is making less money than the man. So that way she stands to gain more from the divorce than her husband does, right? Halle Berry's suffering from this right now. Right? Her husband didn't make any money. She made all the money. Now she's paying him child support and alimony. Right? And and this is kind of the pessimism in me, or the realism in me, is that change is not going to happen until women complain enough about it. Right? Until enough women are getting divorced and they get hit with alimony and child support. None of this law is going to change. But I think we should be trying to lobby for this stuff. Hey, we're trying to create an incentive structure where we want people to stay married. It seems like the conservative solution is remove no-fault divorce, which is going to be hard to really, I guess, run on, right? That's going to be very hard to achieve because people already, like, we live in a generation that got used to no-fault divorce, right? So the next best thing is, hey, whatever you came into the marriage is what you leave with the marriage, right? Stop destroy. Like, pretty much my point as a conservative is remove the incentive for someone to divorce somebody just because, right? Imagine the scenario: your wife steps out on you, your wife cheats on you, right? And she doesn't make any money, and she knows if you divorce her, she'll get rewarded with alimony and child support. That's a bad incentive to have in marriage. And as a conservative, if you want more people to get married, because it's in conservatives' best interest that more people get married, we should be advocating for some type of change to divorce laws, right? Just like what Ron DeSantis did. He removed lifetime alimony. Good start. How about more? Hey, Ron DeSantis also put a bill where unmarried fathers have rights to their child. Because before, if you had a kid, if you had a kid out of wedlock in Florida, you used to have no rights to him. Now you do, right? And I think if the red pill really want to fix the problems they see in our culture, I think they need to get a little bit more politically involved, right? But hey, that's just my thoughts. That's just me rambling as a modern conservative. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, guys. If you're watching this on a replay, give me your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking about. What are the ills of our dating cultures, and what's some of the problems you notice, and maybe a possible solution that you notice as well. It's an interesting conversation to have because I've been out of the dating game since 2015, so I'm not so intricate into all the nitty gritty, but overall, I can see the writing on the wall is how dating culture is deteriorating to becoming like a battle of the sexes pretty much. But I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys tuning into this stream. I wanted to kind of give another a reminder that there will be no live stream next week because I will be out of town. So I might try to just make a double video or something for you guys for Friday, but I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys had a nice weekend. I hope you guys had a nice week. I hope everything's been living up to expectations. I hope you guys be safe. Don't forget to like the stream on your way out. And I'll catch you guys on the next live stream in 2 weeks. So, peace.